Hey guys, so this is what if this is what if Ben 10 was in the Young Justice universe or in Young Justice Part 7, guys. Oh my gosh, bro. And basically, I freaking love this Young Justice What If. One of the best ones I've made and one of the most excited ones I know. Because at the beginning of the series, I said this is going to be one of my favorites and I'm probably never going to be canceling it. And that's what I'm going to be doing, guys. So, guys, I will be making this TV show until the Young Justice TV show is canceled or pretty much is canceled, but maybe get a spin-off show. Because, the Young Justice TV show is fire, so I'm pretty sure it never really be canceled until probably like 7, maybe 6 seasons. But yeah, so basically, in this, you know, part 7, basically, I'm gonna be fitting in 3 episodes because I am trying to legitimately get the best. Like, this is near the finale, or not really the finale, but it's near that turning point because we're near the end of season 2 because it's episode 15, but we're not nearly there. But yeah, so basically, guys, I'm gonna be doing 2.5 episodes, maybe, but maybe just 2, probably more than 2, but yeah. So after this video, we'll be uploading my other 3 videos, and my Halloween special is coming out on Halloween. Now, I'm gonna be pre-recording it, so I have time for Halloween. So, but you're still gonna get a video on Halloween night. So yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Now, we start our story off last time we left off, where Ben passed out on the ground after the Omnitrix used the default setting to protect him, kind of like the way that he came back to life because he was badly injured, and the Omnitrix brought him back to life using multiple different alien transformations to regenerate his body and bring him back to life, kind of like it did for Ben when he was crushed or broken alive as he was in his diamond head. I mean, his what was it? His chromostone form when he fought against Vilgax in Ultimate Alien or Alien Force. Now, basically, we see Ben wake up after him passing out on the floor, and we see him in the bed since his dad and mom shoved him back in his bed because they didn't want him to get any like bugs or like just dirt on his face since he was lie down on the ground sleeping. So we see Ben wake up about at like 7 o'clock, and basically we see Ben walk out where his mom and dad already left for work. Now, pretty much Ben is confused and pretty much sits down on the couch thinking about what happened last night. He knows what's happened, but he doesn't see what happened afterwards after he was badly injured and he passed out. He doesn't remember walking back home, or he doesn't remember coming back or resurrecting. Now, basically, instead, Ben just sits there and fades off, taking a little nap, and basically we can switch back to pretty much the Watchtower. After the first 3 minutes of the episode, we see that the Justice League are pleading their case with the alien planet they attacked while they were under Vandal Savage's control. Now, basically, we can switch back to the Watchtower at 21:21. That's the time, and May 25th. I mean May 23rd. Now, basically, pretty much we can switch to the Watchtower. We see Nightwing and a couple other senior Young Justice Leagues, Justice members, basically talking about this planet or this thing is passing by a planet. Basically, Nightwing saying it's not passing by it; it's going behind it. Basically, him saying it's huge. Now, we can switch back to New York City, 1223, and basically we see that the Watch ship is still there talking to the big orb that's coming towards Earth or passing by this planet near them. Basically, him saying that I'm an ambassador of the Reach and you have to go back, or basically him just trying to send it back where it came. Answers back saying that request denied in a very dark and gritty voice, kind of like a voice scarier than Batman's voice. It says because the Reach is here, that's why I am here. Basically, us getting switched on to pretty much Star Labs. We see Green Beetle. Ugh, this scumbag. But we see Green Beetle basically showing them, well, or us getting switched back to Star Labs, or like, the damaged Star Labs where, the whole entire fight from last episode happened. Basically, it's telling them, or telling pretty much Adam, Nightwing, and don't even know who's his name, the silver guy with the red hands with the radiation absorption or powers. Pretty much Green Beetle makes a hologram of pretty much World. That's what it's called, and basically it's coming to Earth. Pretty much him saying the same thing he did in canon. If you've seen episode 15, you've seen episode 15. It said it as a mobile drone. Basically, it's mainly just an automatic doomsday drone. Basically, it basically being slightly smaller than the Earth's moon. Basically, they say pretty much it was created by an alien race that is now, or pretty much debatably, extinct. Basically, it being self-sustained and self-powering, it having a limited source of worker drones providing prepare and all the needs that the ship needs to attain it. Basically, pretty much we get shown that Mongrel has used pretty much used a gem or a diamond key to basically restart the World War drone. Basically, him being the head commander of War World. Pretty much, one of the heroes asks, who is Mongrel? Basically, him saying long ago he was the sole dictator of his home planet. Pretty much, he says that he was outrated by another tyrant, and now his sole purpose is to reclaim his title. Basically, he says that pretty much Mongrel is here to conquer Earth, or to conquer the universe, so he can get his home back. Basically, pretty much Mongrel's whole mission is to conquer the universe. Pretty much pretty much Beetle Martian, or Green Beetle, goes on about how pretty much it's only suggestible to say that he sees Earth as another conquering planet and a threat to his plan of overruling the universe. We get switched to Ivy Town, where we see pretty much, the future Guardian and Bumblebee basically talking at their college. Pretty much Bumblebee says, or Bumblebee is distracted when she goes and points to the sky, saying that it's a second moon. Basically, the news channel pretty much going crazy about how it pretty much is a lot of blur going around because so much stuff is going down because it's a second moon. Now, basically, we see Ben see this on the news. Pretty much Ben seen this on the news because, Ben has just been in his house resting, eating food, basically just waiting. Basically, him being awake at this point, watching the news. Now, we see that Ben pretty much is super confused on why it's a whole entire moon here. Basically, pretty much he says that the gravitational pull of the object coming towards us, or past, coming towards us, pretty much the War World ship, basically it's already causing gravitational pulls on the planet. High waves are unbelievable, and many tidal waves, pretty much just miniature tidal waves. Basically everything, going out of whack, and ocean areas and beaches and pretty much places that are mainly surrounded by lots of water have been hit hard. Cat Grant of the news channel, he basically says this is only the beginning. Basically, us getting shown pretty much Ben drop his cup, basically being shocked at what's going on. Now Ben gets basically Ben having handled alien invasion type threats, mainly just small alien invasions, that ships that go down to try to get the Omnitrix so they can call the rest of their fleet to basically do the whole entire rest of the job of conquering the planet and eliminating Earth, or enslaving Earth. Basically been flirting all their plans time and time again, but Ben never seen anything like this, a whole giant planet coming towards Earth to destroy it or to conquer it. Man, we see that pretty much, the Reach is talking to the citizens or to the press about a whole entire situation about how he is angry, and pretty much we are all angry at this warning threat. You see that Reach says that we have brought this only one ship, basically saying that it has no weapons or anything like that. Me not really, buying it, and Ben not really buying it as well. Now we see that pretty much, we see that the Reach says, but we do clear our solitary, pretty much with Earth. Basically, him saying, well, we will not abandon you, Earthlings. Now, we get switched to the Watchtower. We see Nightwing, Aquaman, and pretty much the other hero. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. Adam. I think Adam, maybe, or pretty much I don't even know his name. But basically, we see that he, makes pretty much contact with World War, telling World pretty much to stop his course right now. Pretty much, Mongul says that I do not want any negotiation. Basically, him going on about how you should thank me if you knew what was going on with Reach doing to your planet. And basically, he would pretty much, pretty much use his thought to basically make or pretty much initiate a blast towards Earth, trying to destroy it. As Mongul is about to shoot the shot, basically we see that Dr. Fate shows up and stops the situation from getting any farther, and basically makes a construct to stop the blast. Pretty much as he uses his magic to redirect the blast straight towards World Warship. I'm probably gonna say World or pretty much his warship. Basically, the warship gets blasted back, and the blaster is shot the energy blast from, and pretty much causes explosion. We basically see Mongul get kind of angry, him zooming in onto pretty much Dr. Fate, pretty much seeing him as a obstacle. Now he goes on a legion of miniature, torpedoes or alien-like torpedoes towards Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate blasts him away, but we see that it was all a fake plan. That pretty much another member used her, pretty much powers to protect Dr. Fate, and pretty much the Dr. Fate, illusion he was making pretty much took most of those blasts. You see that Dr. Fate makes a portal, basically letting most of the rest of the, Justice League members that are left behind, or most of the members that are senior members of the Young Justice, pretty much jump out of the, wormhole or the portal Dr. Fate made to basically go up against Mongul or the warship. He says Shazam, Green Beetle, and multiple others are just taking down the ship, trying to take down its defenses, and also other stuff. But we get switched to basically Ben a couple minutes after that. Now, basically, we see Ben earlier than that, where we see Ben pretty much get a knock on his door, where we see Impulse and Beast Boy there. Basically, Impulse telling him to get in the come now. Basically, him saying what's going on. Pretty much Impulse telling Ben that we got a mission. Let's go. Basically, Ben, follows after them, putting on the fastest thing he can put on. Not really his hero costume, but basically something quick that pretty much relates to his first hero costume he made before he joined the League or the Justice League. I mean, not the League, the Young Justice. He puts this on, basically finding his hero costume mask, but just putting on a pair of green shades that kind of work like Robin's, whole entire mask thing. Basically, him running with them, basically following after them. Now we see them show up at pretty much a warehouse where we see Blue Beetle, Beast Boy, Impulse, Ben, Superboy, Wolf, and Arsenal, Wonder Girl, and Guardian, and Bumblebee. We see that basically all of the members of the Young Justice actually infiltrated into World ship because Mongul is occupied with taking down or trying to take out the main, group there, taking down the front of warship. Sorry. We basically see Ben, basically, what was it? Pretty much with Alpha Squad. Basically, Ben going after them to try to take down Mongul. Basically, us seeing Impulse, Beast Boy, and Blue Beetle going on their own trip. Basically, Impulse on the comms asking, why is Ben going with the beta team? Basically, Superboy is saying, because Ben is the strongest out of most of all of you, except for Jaime's. And also on top of that, he has more alien tech that can help us against Mongul. And pretty much Superboy makes a sparking remark saying to get off the comms now before they beat you up. Basically, we see pretty much all of them talk about their missions, Beta Team, Alpha Team, and pretty much Gamma Team. Basically, them going out, them, putting their missions or their task in effect. We see Blue Beetle and Beast Boy and Impulse pretty much get barraged by surveillance drones, basically trying to shoot them down and end them, or pretty much take them down. Now they dodge more. They dodge more of their attacks and basically take down the drones. Basically, we see that the drones have found out they're here and basically go after Bumblebee and Guardian next. Basically, Guardian making smart remarks saying, "I like the attention. At least a battle warship knows that I'm here." Basically, Bumblebee can get angry, saying, "Is that a remark to me?" Basically, and we see some of that, pretty much smarky argument between, pretty much Bumblebee and Guardian, and that's pretty funny. I mean, honestly, it's one of the best parts between Bumblebee and pretty much the Guardian. But basically, we get switched back to Arsenal, and pretty much Arsenal, Wonder Girl, and Superboy and Ben pretty much going up against the Jones. The Jones fighting them back, trying to stop them. We basically see Ben dodging more of the attacks. Basically, him not trying to transform yet because he thinks that pretty much the Omnitrix is causing a little bit of disturbance, since pretty much one of the drones comes towards Deku, comes towards Ben, but basically the drone stops right in front of Ben and scans the Omnitrix and then self-destructs. Basically, Ben being kind of confused. Now, in this, entirety, I'm gonna just say it. Pretty much, Galvan Prime did have just a little bit of it. Some of the work put in the ship was made by Galvan Prime, or by, Galvans. Basically, it being made from, Galvan Prime, and also some of the drones being modified and actually created themselves by pretty much Asmon's great-great-grandfather. Now, basically, we would see that pretty much, Ben starts, walking around, and basically the drones don't try to hit him or attack him, since they see the Omnitrix before they even try to blast him. Basically, them more kind of being shown to worship the Omnitrix. Now, pretty much Ben's confused, but he starts dodging more of the drones that don't see him, since halfway through the fight, his sleeve went down on his wrist, and basically they couldn't see the Omnitrix, so they started to fight him and actually blast him as well. Now, Ben started dodging their attacks, but picked up the Omnitrix and transformed into his Martian form, basically phasing to the ground and phasing back up onto the drones, phasing his hands to the drones halfway, blowing them up. Basically, him taking down more of the drones. Now, with their help, they do take a bunch of the drones down, but more drones come because, the drones are self-sustaining. They always come back, or it's just a limited supply of them. Basically, we see them walk to Maggle. Basically, us seeing them go into the, pretty much, center of the, main control center where pretty much Mongol is. Mongol pretty much slides back in his chair and gets back up in more or less a very menacing stance. Basically getting some type of dark side vibes off of him. And basically, you see that Ben looks at Mongol, and basically Mongol recognizes the Omnitrix logo and smirks, basically saying that we fought, haven't we? Now, basically, Deku's confused, but he does get a flashback of a young-looking version of Mongol that he fought up against as pretty much a extra mission, not canon. Basically, a mission Ben went on in this What If. Basically, him going up against multiple other aliens. Basically, the whole entire Ben 10 movie. The Secrets of the Omnitrix. It happened differently since mainly Ben got the Omnitrix. The Omnitrix is made in this universe, the DC universe. But basically, we see that pretty much the Omnitrix, or pretty much, the Omnitrix basically, was shown as a prize to pretty much Mongol back in the past. And Mongol did try to get the Omnitrix from Ben once, But Ben took him down pretty quickly to a point where Ben actually forgot about Mongol altogether because Mongol was very weak back then, and he was very young. So basically, we see that Mongol gets up, smirking at Ben, saying, "I've waited for both. I waited for all of you, especially you, Ben Tennyson." Basically, pretty much Ben and also the Hive and pretty much Earth being a huge, reason why Mongols here. But basically, Mongol says, "This is your attack force. I'm very much insulted." Basically, Ben saying insulted. I beat you once, I can beat you again. Mongol saying, "You don't know the horrors I went up against, child. You don't know what I can do. And now I shall end you all and finish my job." Basically, we see Ben pretty much rush past both of them. Superboy's telling him to stop. Basically, Ben flying straight towards Mongol, phasing through him. Basically, Mongol saying, "Was that supposed to hurt?" Him literally smacking the literal dog water out of Ben's mouth, basically smacking Ben away. Now we see Ben fall to the ground, basically him getting back up, and he started to get manhandled by Mongol left and right. Him actually getting straight up Vegeta, pretty much straight up Frieza slapped. Basically him being slapped left and right. Pretty much Ben getting, stomped out by Mongol. Now the rest of the team jump and they try to stop Mongol, but Mongol starts fighting them and taking them down pretty easily. They try to take him out, pretty much him, making smarky remarks to Krypton, and basically us seeing a little bit of a hint that he came from a red sun planet as well. Basically, us seeing that he's pretty much straight up just literally folding the whole team. Basically, throwing everybody in their, just pretty much folding everybody. And we see Ben look, and pretty much at this point, when Ben got back up, we would see that Mongol was covered in the pretty much, cement arrow, or I guess the foam arrow that Arsenal had. Basically, us seeing a little bit of strain in his mouth, or pretty much strain in his body. Us seeing that it actually is slowing him down, but he breaks out of it as soon as Superboy starts to try to get his punches in and take down Mongol as he's stuck. But Mongol breaks his top half out of it and starts to break his bottom half out of it. We go on, a couple minutes later, when we see Mongol still beating the absolute dog water out of everybody. Basically, we see Ben get back up, rushing towards Mongol, grabbing him and phasing him into another room of the warship. Basically, Mongol saying, "Is that all you got?" Basically, him throwing Ben and throwing him through a ceiling, going back into the main room. Pretty much him being kind of very weakened, since Ben hasn't got that much rest since he just came back from life. Now we see that Mongol jumps back through the hole that he threw Ben with, and we see that his ship starts repairing itself. Now we see Mongol grab Ben and start to swing him around like a rag doll. Basically him saying, "I've always wanted that Omnitrix, but you treated me like I was nobody. When I came to your planet, you humiliated me." Basically him kicking Ben down to the ground, and Ben saying, "If I humiliate you, why are you still on that? That was years ago." Basically Mongol grabbing Ben by the throat, pretty much saying, "Years ago. Well, my many years of living, I've seen that so much so much power has been stripped away from life to life. And your little thing on your chest has all the power I need to conquer everything I need. The whole universe can be mine in a matter of weeks, maybe even a month, maybe even a day." Basically, Ben says, "You can't win. We all know evil never wins." Basically, Ben getting smacked around a little bit. Basically, Mongol saying, "Last thing I want is to have a bratty little teenager tell me what to do." Basically, him pinning his foot on top of Ben's chest, about to straight up crack his whole chest open. And we see Ben face to the ground, but before he can face to the ground, Mongol grabs his foot, throwing him out of the ground. Basically, Ben being kind of confused in why he didn't phase through and how Mongol could touch him. Now, Mongol says, "Pretty much the density of the middle can be changed anytime I want." Basically, pretty much Ben trying to face through the wall, but pretty much the middle being changed by, Mongol's thoughts. Basically, him being stuck in the middle since he can't phase through it, since it's more denser. Now, basically, we see that Ben gets started to pretty much get dog pounded on. Pretty much him being punched left and right, his ribs getting cracked back in, and pretty much Ben literally getting beaten up senseless. Basically, his Martian form not being able to keep up with his level of just pure on rage. Basically, Mongol legitimately like straight to straight up suffer and just kill Ben brutally. Basically, punching Ben over and over repeatedly in the chest, back of his forehead, left, right, in his shoulders, in his arm, in his rib cage, in his thigh, everywhere. Straight up just over punching the absolute dog water out of Ben. Ben is a bloody mess. He looks like a red Martian at this point. Ben literally can't breathe at this point. Ben uses the last bit of his strength to try to face the middle that he's stuck in, and he does succeed, and he starts to fly away, trying to get away, but he gets grabbed by the foot and starts to get thrown around the room more and more. And the team is horrified at what Mongol is doing to Ben, throwing Ben around like a rag doll, straight up beating him senseless, and throwing him down on the ground, about to just snap his neck. We see Wonder Girl and Superboy jump in, throwing a double punch straight towards Mongol's face, pushing Mongol about 6 feet back. Mongol does a super clap or something like that, basically pushing both of them back. Pretty much him using the rest of his strength to pretty much about to just end Ben. When we see Ben get out of the way and basically transform into a different alien. Ben transforms into Heat Blast, saying, "This is one of my classics." Basically, him throwing multiple fire blasts and huge constructs of fire straight towards Mongol. Mongol tells him, that actually burned. Basically, him throwing a huge punch towards Deku, pushing him backwards. Pretty much pushing Deku into a wall, making a huge dent. Now, Deku looks at him, basically saying, "That's it." Basically, him going supernova, basically, him pushing himself to the limits. And basically, he starts pushing Heat Blast as hard as he possibly can, basically trying to literally burn the middle underneath his feet. And him actually turning the middle in kind of like a squishy type of, middle substance. Pretty much him throwing more fire blast towards Mongol more and more over time, basically trying to defeat Mongol at all. Mongol saying this is actually getting kind of annoying. Basically him, drop kicking Ben down to the ground. Basically us seeing Ben get grabbed by the head and thrown around like a rag doll again and again, right over. Basically, we see that Ben is still in Heat Blast form, but he's not as durable as a Martian form. Basically, he flies out of the way trying to get away from Margul. Pretty much, what was it? Mongrel. Basically, he's just flying around faster and faster and tries to think of a transformation that can beat Mongrel. When he transforms, having an idea, transforms into his Kryptonian form. Basically, him going all out, punching Mongol with all the strength he possibly can. Literally trying to go over the strength of Superman. Basically, in this form, it basically having the form of Superman, but basically the Omnitrix making the Kryptonian at the best physical strength, of the best, the Kryptonian you can get. Basically because if you haven't seen, the whole entire explanation of the Omnitrix, basically it transforms the user into the best physical shape or the best form of that life or that being or that alien transformation it possibly can get, or the best physical shape it can get into. Basically, Ben transforming into the best physically fit Superman or Kryptonian ever. Basically, Superman is pretty physically, fit. Like, he looks like a straight up bodybuilder, but pretty much Superman is just a normal Kryptonian that lived on Earth and got his powers from the sun. But we see that pretty much, he's not a regular Kryptonian. He's like a Kryptonian from kind of a royal family, but whatever. We see that pretty much Ben is a little bit stronger than Superman since he is at the physically best shape a Kryptonian can possibly get. Plus, he also is at the best physical shape, meaning that pretty much the Omnitrix is absorbing more solar energy than Superman or normal Kryptonians can absorb. Basically, his Kryptonian form being about 2 times stronger than Superman and his best. Basically, Ben going all out. Mongol getting pushed back a lot more, and actually Mongol starting to bleed. Basically, we see that Mongol throws more punches and actually starts a fight with Ben, like left and right, started to like actually throw hands equally, straight up like a hood fight. Basically, them going back and forth, punching each other, weaving at each other, basically going all out. Now we see that pretty much the fight goes out for a long time. Basically, them going back and forth. Now we see that Mongol is sick and tired of this and grabs Ben by the chest and straight up does a key or straight up a Goku type punch right into Ben's chest, transforming him back into human state. Basically, Mongol grabbing Ben by the neck and throwing him like a rag doll out of the room into a wall, knocking Ben out. Now, pretty much we see that Mongol gets back into his position, about to finish what he started, basically shooting more missiles towards Earth. Now we see that Cat Grant does, the news show about how the, rockets are coming towards Earth, and we see that Batgirl and the rest of the team try to stop most of all the torpedoes who are trying to get to Earth. Pretty much Batgirl, Robin, Captain Marvel, Green Beetle, and all of them trying to stop the fight or stop everything by going down. Now we see that basically the Hive is seeing all of this happen, but the Hive uses the rest of their ships to basically stop the rest of the battle. Basically, them using the rest of their ships to take down more of the torpedoes and use most of their ships to basically take, the blast or the hits for, Earth. Basically, one of the Hive's women says that this is kind of a stupid thing, but it might work. Basically, we see that Black Beetle kind of gets the stain in his eyes after he sees this, but we can switch back to the Power Core where we see pretty much the Guardian and Bumblebee pretty much get towards the Power Core to try to stop it. And as they're getting to the Power Core, basically they start arguing more and more. And pretty much not me trying to narrate that. If you want to see it for yourself, go on HBO Max. Go on YouTube. Look up episode 15 at the 15-minute mark or the 14-minute mark. Now basically we see that pretty much Guardian and Bumblebee start to argue even more as they're like literally inches away from the Power Core. We can switch back to Blue Beetle and Impulse and pretty much Green, or what was it, Beast Boy, pretty much getting to the key or what's powering the whole ship. Basically, as you can see, multiple drones out of nowhere start to go straight towards the trio. Basically, them trying to take down, the drones to push them back. Now we see that Guardian, looks at the Power Core. We see more of the drones bypass the, thing trying to get towards them. Now we see that pretty much she tries to stop the power. Bumblebee tries to stop the power as much as he can. Basically, Guardian using the most of his, strength to try to push most of the things back. Now, basically, from that point, we get switched back to Mongol's base, where we see basically Mongol, get shot back when he pretty much sees that, the drone or the power source has been taken down by, Bumblebee. Now, Mongol is weakened, and basically, as Mongo's weakened, before anybody else can do, Ben gets back up from the other room and flies in his Kryptonian form right back to Mongol, punching literally a hole through Mongol's chest. Basically, Mongol dying. Now, we see that Ben and the rest of the team are shocked at what Ben has done. That Ben just killed somebody. Basically, pretty much Ben says, that's it. Basically, him pushing out his arm out of Mongol's chest. Now, we see Mongol fell onto the ground on his knees. Basically, Mongol saying, "Is that all you got? I'll still survive this." Basically, Ben says, "I know you will." Basically, him sucker punching the absolute dog water out of, Mongol's chest. Out of Mongol's face. Now, we see the rest of the team successfully take out, the key and take down the power source. Basically, take out the key and shut down the power source, successfully doing what they're supposed to do. Now we can switch back to Aquaman and Nightwing watching everything from afar, seeing that the warship has been shut down. Now we basically see Batgirl and Robin and the rest of the team meet up near the area or somewhere on top of pretty much warship, basically seeing Guardian, Bumblebee, and the rest of the team, meet back up. Now, basically, we get seen pretty much shock on pretty much, straight up, what was it? Gets a shock on his face. Basically, Krypton, Connor not really knowing how, Mongrel is actually healing from this. Now, Ben's hand was pretty small and it only went through, like, what was it, the side of Mongrel's chest that didn't have any important organs at all in it. So it wasn't really a lethal type of, punch or anything. But it did go right through Mongrel's, like, left side of his chest. Now we see that Mongrel basically is tied up again by the lights of the truth with Wonder Girl, and basically they take him away and pretty much lock him up. Now, basically, we see that Bumblebee and Guardian later on as they meet up, they basically pretty much will make up with each other. Basically, them getting over their whole entire petty argument they had at the beginning. Now, basically, we get switched to basically the rest of the team. Well, it gets switched back to the rest of the team when the rest of the team shows up. Basically, as Bumblebee and Guardian make up, we see that basically, well, pretty much Arsenal, Superboy, and Ben show back up. Ben still being in Kryptonian form. Basically, all of them, bringing Mongul back. Basically, us seeing that, well, they start talking. Basically, we see that after they show up, we see, well, Jaime said, well, the gang's all here. Basically, him taking the crystal and knocking the absolute dog glider out of the back of Impulse's head. Basically, him making a weapon to blast back everybody. Basically, Ben being kind of confused. Ben flies out of the way and flies as fast as he can towards Hymus, while Hymus takes out a shard of kryptonite and throws it right at Ben's face, basically making Ben fall to the ground. Now, Hymus was given this shard by pretty much Black Beetle. Black Beetle finding a little bit of kryptonite from Lex Luthor, and from the Hive having just a little bit of kryptonite that they had. Now, basically, we see that the team starts to get bodied. Batgirl, Beast Boy, but Arsenal getting back on his feet to try to stop the situation. Now, Blue Beetle goes straight for Connor and throws him pretty much onto a wall. Basically, Blue Beetle using his strength to push Mongrel's body on top of Wonder Girl, restraining her, and basically us seeing Robin and Bumblebee trying to stop Beetle. Now, basically, Arsenal sees this and basically tells pretty much Arsenal sees this, but he just hits the airlock, basically trying to stop the situation. Now we see Blue Beetle get sucked into it, basically him trying to use his propulsor beams or his propulsor blast to stop the situation. Now Jaime stops the airlock and closes it back up when he takes down the rest of the team, taking out Robin, and pretty much Connor tries to stop Blue Beetle. Now basically Arsenal gets back up, basically taking his airlock, the airlock thing in his mouth, basically him trying to get out of the situation and fly away. Now we see that Superboy gets in the way to take the shot for Arsenal to get away, and basically Connor tries to stop the situation. But right before Blue Beetle's about knock out Connor, we see Superboy jump in, kicking the literal dog water out of Jaime's back spine, basically kicking him through a wall in the warship. Basically, us seeing that pretty much Ben knocks a literal soul out of Hymus's back. Basically, Ben starts running towards Hymus, telling him he had to stop. This isn't you. Hymus shooting a huge blast. Us seeing that pretty much Hymus makes a blast, or pretty much a blaster, and puts the shard of kryptonite in one of the slots of the blaster weapon construct or whatever, and basically makes a makeshift blaster kryptonite blaster. Basically him shooting multiple blasts towards Ben. Now Ben starts getting blasted back over and over, and he starts to get weakened, but he hits the Omnitrix, transforming into his Beetle form. Basically his Beetle form being a mix between, or like a little between bulky but also flexible, kind of like a little bit more scaled down version of Black Beetle. Now basically we see that pretty much Ben, he pretty much has a Scarab transformation. Basically his Scarab being at the best physical or technology wise state it could possibly be, plus the Scarab being kind of a more kind of not like a combination of the Omnitrix and the Scarab, but the Scarab being Omnitrix transformation, it being imbued with the energy that the Omnitrix uses. Basically, it being supercharged of a sorts. Basically, us not really seeing this, but well, Ben's Blue Beetle transformation is stronger than any Blue Beetle transformation can possibly get. Basically, with this, power, pretty much the Hive immediately, like, straight up, they already wanted the Omnitrix to mix it together with the Scarab. Basically, we see that Jaimez flies towards Ben, and they go all out, basically making huge cuts into the walls, them shooting huge blasts at each other. Basically, the fight ending with Jaimez getting away, but Ben running out of time and de-transforming, and Jaimez throwing, and Jaimez pretty much doing a double salter kick right up, pretty much right up, pretty much just a uppercut kick right into Ben's face, knocking out Ben after he, de-transforms him from, overuse of power. Now, basically, we see that Jaimez walks away with a little bit of injuries to his body since, well, Ben, well, legitimately, like, got past like, a lot of the defenses towards the Blue Beetle suit. Basically, cutting, stabbing, and literally blasting, well, semi-burn, like, third-degree burns onto Jaimez's body. Now, the Scarab was repairing most of those, damages, trying to get those uh, as repaired as possible. Now we see pretty much Ben wake up wake up later on, basically him dragging himself to a wall, trying to not to feel that much pain, since Jaimez did straight up kick the literal soul out of Ben's face. But yeah, so basically we switch to episode 16, and yeah, guys, so let's get into it. We get switched to the Atlantic Ocean in the beginning of episode 15, us seeing Slade and pretty much Black Manta talking. Now, pretty much they start talking, us seeing Tigress next to pretty much M'gann, them trying to, them after they restore pretty much Aqualad's mind. Basically, we get switched basically to, well, pretty much kind of a back turner where we see pretty much Nightwing come towards the whole entire situation between Blue Beetle, Green Beetle, pretty much making a whole entire thing about how they're gone or whatever. Basically, Jaimez makes a whole entire fake plan about how the boom tube sucked all of the rest of the teammates up, and pretty much he was too slow to get them, or he flew up, but before he could do anything else, he couldn't catch any of them, and they all fell down to the ground. And basically, Nightwing doesn't really buy this, but he buys it for now. Pretty much, Blue Beetle says that Impulse had the crystal key, basically saying that, Mongul took them. Now, basically, pretty much Jaimez covers up his tracks okay. Pretty much Jaimez, puts a really good show on, basically showing that showing, quote unquote, showing that he really cares and he wants to stay to help. Basically, Green Beetle telling him that I'll take him home, make sure he comes home safe. Basically, Nightwing saying, you can help, just gotta go home first. Basically, we get teleported pretty much near Jaimez's house. Basically, Jaimez, showing up there with Green Beetle. Now, Green Beetle and Jaimez start to talk, but they don't really talk, they mainly just give each other nods, and Green Beetle flies off, pretty much Jaimez de-transforming and going back into his normal form. Basically, Jaimez not really being in control, since, the end of episode 6, the end of episode, I think, 14, explained all of that. Now, basically, we get switched back into Atlantic Ocean, where we see basically Sportsmaster, the assassin from season 1, don't remember her name, and pretty much them, infiltrating Black Manta's ship, basically trying to, retrieve M'gann. Now, basically, we get switched back pretty much through the whole entire situation. That situation not really being changed that much since Ben isn't in there. Now, we get switched back to pretty much the rest of the team, try to find out what was happening. Now, pretty much Nightwing finds traces of the nanobots that, are on or pretty much are used to repair the Blue Beetle suit. Basically, seeing it on Robin's, pretty much, one of his batarangs, basically seeing traces of it, like somewhat Robin went after Beast Boy. Went after Blue Beetle or fought against him. I guess switch back to the fight on the ship or Black Manta's ship between Sportsmaster and pretty much them trying to achieve their goal or their plan. Now it gets switched to basically them trying to Megan trying to stop them, and pretty much we get switched from that point where we see that pretty much we see that pretty much we get revealed that Sportsmaster is Artemis's father, but basically we get switched back from that point back to basically it was the Watchtower. Basically, no, not the Watchtower, War World or whatever. Now, basically, you see that Nightwing puts two together, trying to find out if, the Hive had anything to do with this, the disappearance of his team, and pretty much looking at him, pretty much examining pretty much Tim's, Tim's thing. Basically, us seeing that pretty much pretty much Nightwing's. Jaimez is on the news with the Hive, basically joining the Hive, and him revealing his face to the Hive. Basically, Nightwing being two together, and in rage, breaking Tim's batarang. Basically, him saying, us seeing that, most likely, Nightwing knows what Jaimez did. Now we get switched to episode 17. I told you guys I was going to do at least 2.5 episodes. Let's get into it, guys. Now, basically, get switched to, the beginning of episode 17, where we see warship, basically just, standing by there near Earth, basically it being guarded by Plastic Man, Green Arrow, and multiple others in, the whole entire group. Basically, us seeing that pretty much Black Beetle and the Hive have pretty much pit multiple of its, containments or captives pretty much in, I guess cells to keep them, occupied or to keep them stuck in there. Basically, them paying up the crystal and pretty much the rest of the group's items. But them, pretty much all of them being, kind of stasis type cell, but mainly Ben being in a singular one. Basically, Ben basically about to get taken out because they want to try to get the Omnitrix off his body. Basically, Black Beetle saying, why do we just cut it off his arm? Basically, him saying if we cut it off his arm, it's not gonna. If we cut it off his arm, it's gonna go downfall. Now we get switched back to pretty much Arsenal, and pretty much we see Arsenal trying to get back to the team, trying to save them, throwing grenades at the Hive's guards, trying to get towards his team. Now it gets switched to basically the Hive on planet Earth. Pretty much them talking about Jaime Reyes as Blue Beetle and showing, his identity to the public. Much Hive, records and tells that pretty much Blue Beetle was the one that saved everybody from War World. Basically, everybody cheering and, clapping to, Jaime's. Pretty much he, says the same that he did in canon, and basically that part not really being changed that much at all. Basically, us getting switched back, us getting switched, some scenes with the Outsiders, basically them taking down the Reach Drink, trying to, pretty much destroy everything. Them destroying basically everything that's, Reach, anything. Water tanks that have the names on them, everything, pretty much ships, containment trucks, everything. Basically, them getting kind of angry on why, Jaime is with Reach. Now, basically, we get shown that pretty much Lex Luthor, is, still in contact with them. But we get switched back to Megan and Nightwing going back to War World, trying to find out what was going on. Now, we get switched to pretty much, pretty much Arsenal taking out more of the guards of the ships, basically trying to take him out. Now, we see that his cannon arm is out of energy and is 0% now. Basically, him getting away, grabbing one of the Hive's weapons to try to keep himself armed. Now we get switched back to pretty much the Outsiders' base, where we see them have a boom tube or mother box with them. Them being confused on what to do with it. Now basically, they get told pretty much by, Lex Luthor to try to use it of some sorts. They use it and they find themselves teleported on the Hive ship, or where, well, the team is locked up. And we see the Hive guards corner them, basically them looking at them, and them, being cornered. But basically, that doesn't really last long. Them taking down the Hive soldiers pretty quickly. Basically, us seeing that pretty much after, pretty much they get shot away, or they have to retreat. We see that our pretty much Arsenal uses a nearby power plug, or basically a, well, ship on one of the things, or one of the pretty much one of the computers on the sides of the Hive ship. Basically, he uses his tech to basically charge it by that. But we see pretty much the teleporting kid and the outsiders, or the runaways, basically making them, pretty much pushing the Hive people over the ledge. Basically, us seeing that our Arsenal is watching by afar. Now we see basically, Static Shock pretty much tell them, to get ready. Let's get this over with, and let's find everybody else, and let's find Ben. Basically, Static Shock, mainly, being friends with Ben, him trying to find out where is he. Now, basically, or trying to find out where are we. Now, basically, we see that pretty much Nightwing and McGann starts talking about what was going on here, and they try to figure out what went down here. Pretty much, Nightwing gets, a radio call by none other than, well, the ship, or pretty much the bioship type thing, whatever. I don't even know what it is, but yeah, it's basically we get switched back to the Hive, them talking about how, what's going on. Basically, him asking what is about the intrusion at the ship. And basically, we get switched back to the casing or whatever they have, and pretty much as they're walking around, they find, well, the Young Justice. They find Nightwing, Beast Boy, Impulse Boy, and also Ben in one cell. Basically, they get sewed up when basically Black Beetle, the man, the big bad, shows up to fold the absolute dog water out of all of them. Now we see that pretty much Black Beetle walks towards them, about to try to fold them. Basically, Static Shock having a pretty blank expression on his face, but him saying, "We can't take on this guy." And basically, he, pretty much Black Beetle gets pretty much grubs his fingers, but about to try to fire them all up. Pretty much him knocking the absolute dog water out of, well, Hymus's friend, I think the shape-shifting guy, in like 2.3 seconds. Basically, the rest of the team being kind of confused because, that the team member that just got folded was the strongest person on their team. And we basically see them get folded in a matter of minutes. Like 5 minutes. They get absolutely, like, dogged on. Now we see basically Black Beetle trying to find, pretty much the teleporting kid. Basically trying to find him and blast him away. Now we see him, walk off, trying to find out what's going on. But he gets blasted, or he didn't really blast it, but a blast shot goes right behind him, passing him, hitting pretty much, well, the scarab on the back of Black Beetle's back. Basically, well, Arsenal hitting the switch to pretty much close the doors to lock them both into the cell room. Him taking out his weapons and pretty much about to go up against, well, Black Beetle. Him throwing a weapon towards the teleporting kid, telling them, "We gotta get this done." Basically, them getting ready to fight, well, Black Beetle. They come towards Black Beetle at full blast, trying to fight him. And we get switched back to the Hive, talking to pretty much the, news. Pretty much, well, the newsman getting kind of angry at him, pretty much accusing him of multiple other things. Pretty much the newscast asks, why he has fleets of ships hidden underneath our oceans. And pretty much he, well, responds with, well, the newscast pretty much brings up the past, camera footage about the Hive saying that they only had one ship, basically saying that you lied to us. Now, pretty much, the Hive tries to clear this up. Pretty much, the newscast says that, I don't know what you call it on Earth. I don't know what you call it on your planet, but we call it a bold-faced lie. Basically, looking at, well, the footage saying that you lied to us. Now, as he's getting talked down, pretty much the Hive leader, the Hive, or Reach, basically get kind of angry at this point. But we get switched back to pretty much Arsenal and Black Beetle and the teleporting kid fighting each other. Now, Arsenal, as he's fighting Black Beetle, he sees that, this fight isn't going really well. They are taking down Black Beetle, and they are making the fight go pretty well. Basically, multiple other kids getting back up fighting against Black Beetle. Now we see that a boom tube shows up where we see pretty much, well, two guards get knocked out by Slade. Basically, Slade showing up. Now I see that Slade starts walking around, pretty much infiltrating the place and getting the, well, gem or the crystal for the, pretty much, well, the crystal for the, what was it? The warship. Now we see that pretty much Stag uses his abilities to try to, pretty much distract Black Beetle. And as they're fighting Black Beetle, they actually starting to win a little bit. Knocking Black Beetle over and over again, punching him all around like a rag doll. Now we see that Black Beetle at this point is getting kind of irritated and also is getting kind of folded. I mean, I should have just knocked the freak out. But we see Arsenal trying to open the code to try to free the rest of his team members. Basically, well, the teleporting kid asks, what's going on. Basically, him saying that, freak it. Basically, him shooting a energy blast to open the cell that's containing, well, Mongol. Basically, his plan is to make Mongol and Black Beetle duke it out. Now, Mongol wakes up. Basically, Arsenal telling the kid to back up. Basically, then backing away from Mongol. And us seeing that Black Beetle is fighting the rest of the team where he sees that, well, Mongol's getting up. And Mongol looks at Black Beetle and pretty much charges towards him. Them charging at each other, about to go all out and fight. Now, as they're fighting, the rest of the team, make a plan to pretty much free the rest of their team. Them freeing pretty much, the rest of the, league. Basically, us seeing that pretty much Static uses an energy blast to open up Ben's ship, to open up Ben's thing. Now, Ben wakes up. Basically, Ben, instead of him just floating, he has multiple chains and containers on his body trying to keep the Omnitrix safe, or Omnitrix pretty much just locked away. Now we see that pretty much the rest of the team have to use a lot of their strength to open the, chains and everything up to pretty much free and release the rest of his team. Now pretty much we see the rest of the, Justice League, the rest of the, team members basically see them kind of out of it, but they start, they get back in the zone and try to get out. Now they open the ship, or they open the door, pretty much getting ready for an ambush. But we see that pretty much Nightwing and Megan has showed up to save the day and to take down most of all the guards. Now pretty much Nightwing says that Blue Beetle has betrayed us. Basically him talking to the rest of the team like he did in the original. Now we see that Ben's in the back being carried or helped up by pretty much Blue Beetle, and we see that pretty much Ben walks off, or pretty much walks into the ship and pretty much sits down. Now, Impulse tells, pretty much Ben that I never thought he would actually go. I never thought the high would get to him. Basically, pretty much Ben saying, I saw the glint in his eyes. He wasn't himself. He had a pure and utter just taking down the fight. As we were fighting, I saw a glimpse in his eyes like he was about to kill me. Basically, him saying that I saw a glimmer of his eyes that was about to kill me, but I saw there's a little glimmer of Jaime still in there. Now, basically, pretty much Bumblebee, we get straight back out of the room. Basically, seeing Bumblebee and pretty much Bumblebee and Arsenal arguing. Basically, Arsenal saying that I blowed that airlock so I can get escaped. After 10 years on ice, it was no way I was gonna get grabbed. Basically, pretty much Arsenal saying that I was never gonna get captured again, and that's the last thing I'll ever do. So basically, Arsenal gets told that he's off the team because he pushed something, very off guard, and basically Arsenal gets kind of angry at this. Ben overhears it and says, "Why are you getting him off the team? He saved our lives." Basically, Nightwing saying, "You're not a part of this, Ben. Go back inside." Basically, Ben saying, "No, he saved our lives. He saved my life." Basically, pretty much us getting a flashback that we didn't see in the beginning. Basically, seeing Arsenal shoot a laser blast before he, ducked away or tried to get away. Him shooting a laser blast right at the back of Jaime's leg, weakening Jaime throughout the fight between him and Ben. Basically, Ben having a little bit of a upper hand, him going for multiple, leg sweeps and leg blasts towards Jaime's. But he making the fight go a little bit more his way since, well, Arsenal did do a little bit of a, dirty trick on Blue Beetle, so he would have a little bit of a, well, lower fighting, like, he would go down easier because of, well, because of, Hama's blasted leg. Now, basically, you'll see that pretty much, well, Arsenal gives, pretty much Nightwing a death glare. Basically, Arsenal telling Ben, no, Ben. I'll do what Nightwing says. It's not like he'll need me again, since he's just a cheap little. Pretty much Ben saying there's no need for that. Basically, pretty much Arsenal walks off, pretty much walking past Ben, and Ben and Nightwing giving kind of, glares at each other. Now, basically, we see that pretty much Arsenal and pretty much the rest of the team, pretty much as Ben was going up for Arsenal before Arsenal went away, before Ben was stopped defending Arsenal. We see that the rest of the outsiders start defending Arsenal as well, saying that it wasn't for Arsenal, we would never pull this off. Pretty much Nightwing says this isn't the first time he'd done it, intentionally threatening the lives of teammates to get away, basically trying to not get captured. Basically, pretty much Nightwing makes a nearly good, explanation to try to, keep Arsenal out of the team. But basically, pretty much we see that Arsenal gets gets told, you want to go with us. Basically, the outsiders, the runaways, not trying to, take the invitation for pretty much Nightwing's team or whatever. Basically, telling Arsenal, hey, want to come with us? Basically, them saying that we have our own way of doing things and we can get to Earth ourselves. Basically, them, teleporting out of there, leaving Nightwing in the dust, pretty much taking Arsenal with them. Pretty much Nightwing says, wait, is that pretty much as, one of the kids take out a boom tube or mother box or whatever, and pretty much teleport away to their base or to their hideout. We see that pretty much after Arsenal and the rest of the team go to the hideout, pretty much Arsenal tells them that you're working for Lex Luthor. He's the reason I'm missing 10 years of my life and my arm. And basically, us getting shown that, yeah. So basically, they all go on their own separate paths. Not them going on their own separate paths. They go on their own separate path. Them, leaving pretty much them, leaving Lex Luthor's whole entire thing, and then going on their own mission with our. No, yeah, guys. So I'm gonna leave it off here because we did 3 whole episodes in one part. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. And as always, guys, have a blessed